Welcome to Behind the Claw, our new Traveler campaign that is taking over the time slot since we finished out Pirates of Drenax last week. And so we will be picking up with a brand new campaign, all new Travelers. Mostly the same players, although we do have a new player, Cody, will be joining us, and we'll be going through the process. We've already generated characters for the most part, but they are kind of awaiting that finalization using, for instance, the connections rule. And so that's how we're going to kind of be starting off this campaign. We'll be introducing each of the characters first, and then making seeing if they have any connections with rivals and enemies and contacts and allies, and if two players can agree on a connection, then that means that they get a free skill out of it. So that's where we'll be picking up for starting this week. Let me get over to my correct page here. There we go. Ship shares, benefits, aging, injuries, and of course we will do the skill package as well. Let me just glance over this real quick here. Probably going to be a trader's skill package, but we will get to that shortly. Where is the connections? Yep, 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 yep.
I know this is technically supposed to be like a Scandinavian themed part,
There's going to be a lot of
but
Scandinavian stuff to it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying is I have written the way my character will talk, and due to my having a greater knowledge of Greek deities, I will make Greek and Norse deity references. And if anyone has a problem with it, they can write a note to themselves about it.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because I actually just the most recent book that I just finished is Castles and Crusades, Gods and something or other. Um, Geez, I do so much reading; it's hard for me to keep track. It is
Mhm.
Gods and Legends, and they in there they talk about. It's funny that you say that though, because they talk about the relationship and uh, how tied together, like the Norse deities, the Germanic deities, who are basically the exact same except they have different names, and then even
Yeah.
tying them into to like the deep Celtic religion of ancient Gallia that was pretty much stamped out by the Romans. We don't know all that much about the ancient religion of the Gauls, but um, there are significant ties between all of those religions, all going all the way back to ancient Greece. And so you can kind of look at these guys and be like, well, they're very similar. And I think the biggest difference is that they place them sometimes in different positions. But I
Yeah.
mean, the Romans didn't even bother; they just renamed them. But because we can't have the same names as the other country, we'll just steal their shit and call it our own, and just rename it. And this was before deific copyright law. So, but
Yeah.
so I guess we will just start by going around the table, starting with Glenn. Glenn, what is your character's name?
Svart, Zavart,
Okay.
Perlson,
Vort Pearls.
H Herlusson,
I'm sorry, spell that one more time.
Herlusson, Lusson.
Okay. So I went ahead and renamed your character uh, Svart Hurlson. So tell us about Svart.
He's 26 years old. He's human. He's from the Sword Worlds.
Okay.
He unfortunately got drafted in his first effort to go to school and didn't make it,
Oh no.
and ended up in the police. And after one term, he left as a sergeant.
So when you say police, was that the Sword World's patrol career, or was that
I use the regular Mongoose,
regular Mongoose?
so
Okay.
it says Agent Law Enforcement.
Okay.
As a leaving bonus, I ended up getting a piece of scientific equipment, less TL12 or less, and a cost of less than $2,000. But I don't have a clue where to look to pick one.
So yeah. So here's something interesting about character creation. So they'll say something like, "Oh, you get scientific equipment," or it'll say, "You get." Some kind of, you get to muster out with a weapon, but it does, they leave the details of that very open. And so I'm like, well, I mean, what do they mean by scientific? I would think, let me look at tools. I would think that they probably are talking about like a scientific tool set. But you were an agent, and that was what you got for mustering out from agent.
Scientific equipment.
Interesting.
Now, is it some kind of police investigation equipment?
Well, that's kind of where my head's going. Forensics toolkit. So it has to be lower than tech level 12, and it can't be more than 2,000 credits, right? So they have a basic tech level 8 forensics toolkit effect. Investigate crime or accident scenes. Well, no shit. It weighs 12 kilograms and it costs 2,000 credits.
Oh, gee.
That to me sounds like something that you would get here, and I will.
TL what?
It's TL 8.
Okay.
It
then
it doesn't look like it gives you any bonus to anything at TL 8. It just allows you to perform a forensics check. So it would be probably a science forensics or an investigate check.
Okay. Then I went and became a merchant on a free trader.
Excellent.
And I had one term, and I luckily made it to 4th officer. So
wow.
that gave me vac suit, and the police gave me melee armed.
That's always a good thing to have.
And I bought a dagger and a long blade. And I also got a benefit of a firearm, TL12, less than $3,000.
Well, that would definitely be in Central Supply Catalog.
Which I used, and I ended up picking an ACR.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you grabbed a advanced combat rifle. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll do.
And I bought an auto pistol to go with it.
Sure.
But unfortunately, I have no skills as a gun combat.
Well,
I can learn it.
You can learn it, right? You're 26.
Okay.
You're 26. Your whole life is ahead of you.
Okay. I also have an electronic skill at 0, but I don't know which one to pick because I want to pick something that we need and somebody else doesn't have.
Well, at 0, you're certified pretty much in all of them. So, um, you know, um, that's something else that you can pick as you gain study periods and you're able to, or hopefully you make your education roll to rank up, and then you can pick a specialization. And there will be plenty of opportunities for. I mean, there's going to be a lot of jumping going on. It is a trade cruise, but we'll get into that in a minute. Did you pick up any contacts, allies,
Not
rivals,
quite.
or enemies?
Yeah, I did, but I also picked up flyer and at 0.
Okay.
And I'm assuming grav would be a good choice, or should I go with airplanes?
So if it's flyer 0, you basically have all of them. There again, once you get level 1, rank
You
1
pick
in it,
one.
then you would pick one. More than likely, grav would be your best bet.
Yeah, I have an air raft.
Yeah,
And somebody needs grav to fly the fucking aircraft. That's not my dig. So,
well, I mean,
yeah.
I would
I got
assume.
it at 0. I got it at 0.
Yeah, I would assume that even without the skill, that you would be able to drive or fly your air raft to the grocery store every day for groceries or what have you. But if you were involved in a chase or flying through, having to do fancy maneuvers, then you would run into a problem because you're at -3. We used to have this conversation. We were playing a BattleTech game that we used percentage rules, and one of the players kept arguing that, the piloting and gunnery were always set at 45%. And he said, well, that would, if that's true, if piloting mech is 45%, then that would mean that I only have 45% chance of successfully driving my car anywhere. And I told him, I said, I have some bad news for you. It's probably a lot lower than that. That's statistically true. So,
Okay. I have one allied and one contact.
okay.
The ally unfortunately followed me home one day from the office when I was in the police. He got injured and is scarred for life.
But he's still an ally.
But he's still an ally.
Okay.
And one contact. And I didn't. Then they gave me no notes for the contact.
Okay. So hang on to that, and we will pick up from there. So you were on a trade ship, and Svart became 4th officer.
Which is the low as it. That's the low as it goes as officer.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I did get promoted.
Well, yeah.
I got promoted.
So that's actually really good.
But then this came along, and it was such a good deal that I had to sign up.
Right. Wes, you are playing Holger the Bold. Tell us a little bit about Holger. You're muted. You are muted, sir.
See, helps if I'm smarter than the device.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Holger is middle-aged, 42. My home world is Narsil, which is where we're starting, so that's kind of cool.
Convenient.
I served in the patrol as interstellar. I served. I managed to kick out 3 terms there, and then I moved to Graham due to I got a light injury and it made me move and switch careers.
Okay.
So I moved to Graham. and which happened to be the capital of the Sword Worlds at the time, where I served in the Navy. And I made it to petty officer, and I got honorable discharge, and it was kind of funny, is because I was a pilot for small craft and that, and my parting muster out joke is they gave me an air raft, knowing I can't drive it, and they all thought it was funny that I could fly a spacecraft but couldn't drive shit.
Right.
And yeah, and so I kind of got that. And then I did a couple terms in the Scouts. Was traveling about and in honing my skills. Um, I've got an ally. I'm not an ally. I have a contact that is in Graham. Was Yeah, I got a contact that was in Graham, and my scout ship was the first on the scene to rescue the survivors of the disaster, and it made me make a medic or an engineer check, and I fucked around and made it, and I've got a contact. That's
Okay.
that.
All right. So you've got
Yeah.
one contact, and he's got one contact. All right. So I'm starting to
Yeah.
see some connections that are
Yeah.
possibly to be made.
I also have I got from the muster benefits, I got a letter of introduction.
Okay.
So this from the Navy. So the Sword Worlds Navy station out of Graham has issued me a letter of introduction saying that I'm a good old boy and can be trusted, and that just a basic thing that I can. It's supposed to theoretically raise my standards when we go someplace. I
Correct.
can use it one time. So
Correct.
yeah, so
And
that's kind of a feather in my cap.
that'll both incidents that both Glenn and Wes have had with their characters. We'll touch on that a bit here shortly.
Uh, but that's that. I basically was a cop, working security around Narsil, and then I went to the Navy, then I went to the Scouts.
Okay.
So that's that. I'm not an evil pirate guy at all, so I won't be doing those things this time around.
Well, the game is young. So Cody is playing our resident um, Jodani. Go ahead and tell us about Zrizatol.
Zriatal Akrashash. I will never be able to pronounce it correctly.
Don't
Even though
feel
it's my
bad.
character.
If
But
only
yeah,
you knew how badly I murdered Aslan names and planets and simple
so
words.
I was from a lesser noble house. Tried to get into the government and failed because my stats I rolled almost exactly average, 7 on almost everything. So I was drafted into the military. I was able to luckily join the cavalry. I did my my mandatory service, left honorably. Managed to leave with a little bit of money, and I was finally able to do what my life goal is, which is to join working for the government and climbing the ranks of being a diplomat with eyes on eventually becoming one of the top people on my planet. I spent a whopping 20 years grinding my way through the diplomacy and through the ranks, rising up to the second highest rank, I think.
Yeah, you were close.
The third highest rank, which is a council. And I was one term from retiring and getting approximately, at best, 1.2 million credits. And then the bastards closed my my building and kicked me out. Unfortunately, because I'm a slimy diplomat, I've made 3 rivals over the course of 20 years. And this didn't sit well with my character. And out of options and out of ideas, but still wanting to find just something to make him feel happy,
Fulfill your
he
life.
then he then spent another 8 years doing field research as a scientist, where he finally retired and decided that since he spent a lot of time rising the ranks as diplomacy and everything else, he's accrued a decent fortune, including 2 ship shares, and a fair amount of credits. I'm looking forward to finding those rivals who, in my opinion, screwed me out of my fortune, and getting some payback upon them.
Okay.
But yeah, just an annoyed diplomatic lesser noble who wants revenge.
So so it should be for and this is meta for the players. I don't necessarily know that their characters would know this. A little bit of background as well. So the Sword Worlds do not really have a law. They don't have any laws against psionics, unlike the Imperium, where they are, as I described, Luddites when it comes to factors of the mind. The Sword Worlders don't have that. That's not to say that they wholeheartedly embrace it, but their view on it is more that it's unfair that some people get it just by simply being born with it, and that it's not available to everybody. But that doesn't mean that they hold any animosity towards those that have psionics. Now, the other thing about it too is that he is a Jodani noble. He's not a prole, and so he was tested at birth. He does have some psionic powers. Now, whether or not he openly admits that is up to him. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to Sword Worlders to see that there's a Jodani as part of the crew. And the reason for that is that the Sword Worlds Confederation actually has a very good relationship with the Jodani consulate. Probably a better relationship than can be had with the Imperium. And historically speaking, I'm going to say all of the past Frontier Wars, but I don't necessarily know that that's true. Depending on, I'd have to do a little bit more research on when the when the Confederation was actually formed. But historically, in the past Frontier Wars, the Zodani Consulate and the Sword Worlds Confederation have been allies, usually against the Imperium. And so, like I said, Sword Worlders wouldn't bat an eye. They'd be like, "Oh, cool, there's a Jodani," and I think more than likely the assumption would be that, I mean, obviously, as a diplomat and a member of the government, this character is going to be fairly well spoken and probably have a fairly crisp demeanor. And so the assumption would likely be, for those in the know, that he's probably psionic without him even saying anything. But I don't know. Glenn's character may not pick up on those visual cues, being as young as he is. So there's that. That just a little bit of background on the Jodani. Cameron, what character did you make?
I watched a bunch of Cowboy Bebop recently, so I
Oh.
decided to, yeah. So I decided to make a character sheet for Faye. And for anybody who doesn't know, her deal is she was cryogenically frozen at some point in the past. She's not sure when. She doesn't remember anything before the freezing. Some people woke her up and transferred all their debts to her and then left.
Oh,
So she's
nice.
kind of out there on her own. Yeah. And I spent a term as a bounty hunter and then a term as a thief.
Okay.
And the term as a thief ended when I got arrested and managed to talk my way out of the charges.
Oh.
And then I decided to be a broker for a term after that. And that's my whole journey so far.
Okay. That was Faye Valentine, right?
Yeah. And I do have a gambling problem, and I have no gamble skill at all. So that tracks. But you lost so much.
Roll a -3. No wonder you lost.
Yeah, exactly. That's your whole deal. I did not end up with any contacts or rivals through the character creation process, though.
Okay.
So
Okay. Just a moment. I am. Let's see what this gives me. Like I said, we need to get you a token.
All right.
your turn.
Is it my turn?
Maybe
Sure.
not quite yet. He's
Yeah.
making a token.
Go ahead
Okay.
and let me know what you came up with.
Let you know what?
What you
What-
came up with.
What
Yeah,
I came up with. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I am Casey Stone. I age 42. Imperium was where I was raised. I after let's see. After I left college, I went to college for 1 year, 1 term. I did 5 terms as a scout explorer, so I went a little crazy with it.
That's cool.
And during that period of time, I managed to get into 2 conflicts, both of which resulted in rivals.
Oh, all
And
right.
I ended up with an Imperium ally and an enemy.
Wow.
So, okay. How many rivals do you have?
I have 2 rivals,
Okay.
1 enemy, and a Imperial ally.
Okay.
Imperium ally.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. And I have very poor social skills, but basically everything else is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Hold that thought. So Cameron is the character's name, Faye.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought for sure you were going to say your last name was Jones when you said your first name was Casey. I just thought for sure you were going to go Casey Jones.
Casey Jones.
Yeah, but you did.
Would have been would have been totally different character, I
I
think.
want to fly the ship
Yeah.
and do cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh,
So who's the other noble person besides me? I thought someone else said in the Facebook
Uh,
chat there.
me, Holger is noble, but our nobility spawns from different shit. I'm in the sword worlds. I would be considered a grieve, which just basically, I mean, that's not as cool as Jarl or anything like that. I just kind of the low end of the social standing.
I'm
You-
whatever the
you're-
heck an 11 social is.
Oh yeah. Well, it would be based off the Zodani.
Well, Zani's
nobility.
an atoll, which is an aspirant.
Yeah. If your
So
stuff would have came from like the Imperium, you'd be like a knight or a duke or something
Right.
like that. It doesn't generally come into play unless I doubt we go into Zolandi space. I mean,
I was gonna ask.
Zodan space.
It says in the Zoldani thing that the Imperium, they honor my status. Does the Sword World honor Zoldani
Oh,
nobility?
most certainly the Sword Worlds would
Uh,
honor it. Probably,
Yeah, because
probably more so
more.
than even the Imperium.
Yeah,
The Imperium would honor it in a diplomatic sense,
Okay.
but you know, only
the
because they're having to be nice.
Sword World wants you to spend that noble money.
yeah,
I got
there's
some
that
money.
too.
That's
There is
that's
that.
what the money makes people happy.
I will say start in advance. I've only played one game of Traveler before, so I'll be asking a few questions. So sorry
Of
in
course.
advance.
Devin, your character's
Yeah,
name
that's
is
fine.
Casey what?
Stone.
Eh.
I figured that was appropriate for being on a ship.
Yeah.
How old is he?
42.
42.
Hey, we're the same age, man.
Yeah.
Too young, whippersnapper.
Middle age.
Yeah. Which is really young for Traveler. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Sure.
a good health care.
And I'm sorry, is he also from the Sword Worlds?
From the Imperium.
He's from the Imperium. Okay.
I didn't pick a home world because I didn't know exactly where to look for one.
Probably be
But-
somewhere nearby. We'll look at that
Yeah.
in a moment too. How does he generally dress?
Like trench coat, kind of.
Okay.
I got a
Wait,
cloth
but
trench coat.
does he look just like you, or does he
No.
look like someone else?
He looks like somebody else. I don't know.
You can type not Devin
Not Devin. Yeah.
into the AI and
Okay,
generate
so
a
just
face.
put
There
in
you
not
go.
Devin
See what
and
comes
it'll
up.
know. It'll just it'll like scrape the entire internet and know to not select pictures of Devin.
That's right.
I was playing this play by post thing, and we were making new characters, and the dungeon master had gone to high school with my girl, and she had his yearbook from then. And so I took my phone and I took the picture of his yearbook photo, and I sent that as my character's photo.
Nice.
Wow.
I was just doing some skimming on my guys. Apparently, since I'm a noble, all nobles are empowered to sit in judgment of any accused criminal. I mean, it's probably only in the Zoldani area, but if you guys are in the Zoldani area and
cool.
get in trouble, I can rule over your crime.
Nice.
Nice.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll tuck that in my back
That might
pocket.
be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got some advocate skills, which can really come in
Very
handy.
big hell. Yeah.
I think the first time that we really ran into the usefulness of advocate was in Deep Night Revelation when one of the crew got.
That was me. I hired an attorney.
Yeah, they got picked up on a heavily totalitarian world that had stupid laws in place. Like they actually had a law in place on which direction you can hang the toilet paper roll properly. And
Oh, I remember that one.
and
Before I left.
so they had to hire a lawyer to get her out, and so we kind of dug in like, well, it really made me kind of think, because I'm like, well, how is a planet with this kind of law level, how is that going to work out? And not particularly well, but I mean, they ended up succeeding in getting her out, and all while having to put down a minor mutiny as members of the crew were arming themselves, getting ready to raid the police station on the planet to secure her release on their own. So,
It's good to have backup plans.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
What I mean, my guy has piloting skills for both small craft and spacecraft. Pretty decent in that, but I don't really have too much either ship skills. I've got 0 in engineering, but I mean it's not even specialized. Just
What's your
basic
rank
engineering.
in pilot spacecraft?
Pilot spacecraft is 2 and small craft is 3.
So you are probably going to get an officer's position as the lead pilot. I can just tell you that right off. But first,
So
let's take a look at these contacts. So let's see. Glenn and Wes have one contact. I would say that is very. I mean, you guys are both sword worlders. It is very
no.
likely that contact is one and the same. And just off the top of my head, that contact is actually oddly enough, that contact is not a member of the Sword Worlds. That contact is actually an Imperial Scout.
Okay.
That's nice.
And so, there it is.
Yeah, you're going to give us a name, or is it going to be that cool?
I don't think it needs to be that cool. Here we go.
Okay,
because
so
of the
the
connection
contact's
tree.
name will be Imp Scout, right?
Yeah, they are a member of the Imperial Scouts, IISS. Connections rule. Here you go. So you guys have a connection.
So, do I note that?
Hold on, I'm looking at that. So both of you get a skill of your choice at rank 0.
A skill.
At rank 0?
At rank 0.
Okay, so it needs to be something definitely I do not have. I'm going to go ahead and I want corrals. I'm going to become trained in corrals.
Okay.
I already have corrals. Can I take gun combat
Yes, you can.
now that I have weapons?
Well, what do you have carouse at? Go ahead and take gun combat. And
I have corrals as 0.
so you could get carouse at 1.
No, I'll train that. I'll
Okay.
just go to the bar. I just go to the bar.
Just go to
every
the bar
night.
and practice. Yeah, that's what I did. Did that a lot in my youth. Just practicing.
Getting that free skill out of 0 is a big. It's really a big deal anyway. You know, getting
Yeah.
that because that -3. You know, fuck, that right there. That's terrible.
Yeah,
-3. I mean,
know,
that's basically like.
And when you say it's only a -3, it doesn't sound like it's that bad. But when you're rolling 2d6, that's huge.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That is a big chunk.
When generally a success means you have to do an 8. You know, I mean, yeah, that really makes it difficult.
So Glenn has an ally, and let's see here. Wow. So the rule is that you can only have. It looks like you can only have 3 of these. Wait, you may gain a maximum of 2 free skills from the connections rule, and each connection must be with a different traveler for each. For each connection you make, you may gain any skill, but cannot bring a skill above level 3 using this rule, nor may you take the Jack of all trades skill. Okay, so you can't take Jack of all trades, and you can't raise any skill above level 3. And you can only get 2 free skills from this. So the next one, it looks like Glenn and Devin both have an ally that we can make the same person. So you might make a note that this is so. Glenn, what details did they give you, Glenn, about your ally? Any?
He followed me home from work when I was a cop and got involved in a fight and got scarred for life.
But it
It
doesn't.
doesn't say how. It doesn't say he's not an ally anymore. It doesn't say how bad the scar was.
And so, Devin, does it give you any details on your Imperial ally?
Only that it's an Imperial ally.
So, I mean, it's distinctly possible that this guy could have been undercover and was following Glenn home, doing some kind of intelligence work in the Sword Worlds Confederation, which, when Glenn helped him out, that gave Glenn an ally. So you both can pick another free skill. So Glenn, you get a second free skill, and then Devin, you get to pick a free skill at rank 0, or you can pick a free skill and raise it up, but you can't go above level 3.
I think I'll go with medic. That might be useful.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, I have medic at 0, so
I don't. So
Yeah.
glad some other people have it.
There
I
will
have
be
actually-
a possibility to get.
I think I will do recon at 0.
That's a good one.
Ooh, I probably should have done recon, actually. Maybe I'll change it to recon.
Man, recon is, if you don't have, recon is a necessity. If you don't have it out of mustering, I mean, you're going to be handicapped for a lot of, I mean, God, he makes us roll recon so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically
Yeah.
it. So if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons 3rd Edition, I always use this analogy. Recon plus intellect in Traveler is the same as a spot check in D&D. Investigate plus intellect in Traveler is the same as a search check in D&D. And there was another one that was very similar too, but it escapes me at the moment. But those two frequently come up, and if you're handicapped with a -3, I always wonder, how did anybody in the career of Army or Marines make it out without recon? Because how are you supposed to
You
stand
get
guard?
zeros in the basic skills, I think.
Yes, if that
Because
is
you get
your
the
first
service
career.
skills.
If
Yeah.
it's your first career. And so
Right.
if it's not your first career and you go in, you'd essentially be completely useless as being put on guard duty. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the military, you don't necessarily have to be good at what you're doing.
That's true. Hence the terminology of as good as government work, which
Yeah.
means it'll probably work, but not for very long.
It's just all what military you're in. I mean,
True. True.
there are different standards in every one, I would assume.
So Devin, you've already taken 2, correct?
No, I've taken 1.
You've taken 1. So Cody
Yeah.
has 3 rivals. You have 2 rivals and an enemy. So we
Right.
could make a connection between one of Cody's 3 rivals and one of Devin's rivals. Cody, do you have any details on these rivals that you gained?
No, you just told me what we'll figure it out during this session.
Okay. What about you, Devin?
No details.
So we can probably say that they are, you know,
I would assume mine have to be like
I would assume they're Zodani.
Zodani or something.
Yeah, and they are probably. So, Devin, what careers were you in?
I was a scout for 5 terms.
So that would be fairly easy to mix. So the rival that you guys have in connection was probably a Zodani, I mean, in air quotes, diplomat, but probably also highly or deeply into the intelligence community for the consulate. And so in some form or another, he's probably the one that screwed over Cody's character and got him drummed out of the diplomat service. And for whatever reason, he has a irritating dislike for Devin's character Casey, and so you guys have that connection. So Devin, you can take a second free skill, and Cody, you get to pick a free skill or at 0 or raise another skill, but you can't go higher than level 3. Your choice.
All right, I will raise my admin skill.
That's a good one to have. That is another skill that comes in surprisingly, well, not surprising, really. It comes into play a lot because you got to figure everything in Traveler is going to be electronic, and you're talking about big governments, so everything is a bureaucracy. Everything has to be typed out 3 times. Fill it out in triplicate, and then you usually have to pay some kind of fee in order to view somebody else's information. Okay, so that is our connections. Let me hand out the package. So we will go around the table. Package. Here's my. So we're going to use the trader skill package. And basically we're going to go around the table until we're out of skills.
Do we have the basics to kind of run a ship? Do we have an astrogator, an engineer, and a sensors, comms, electronics person? I could obviously pilot, but we need those skills covered to be able to kind of,
I can deal with a little bit of electronics and computering.
I can as well. I have 0 in it.
All right.
So the first skill,
I have engineer power.
That's
okay,
excellent.
well,
that means at least you have engineering 0. So that's going to automatically place you in the engineering division.
Right.
So the first skill, Glenn, if you would like to take it, you can take Advocate 1.
Oh, geez. I have Advocate 0 already.
So
do I want Advocate?
You can raise it to 1 if you would like.
Let's do that. Okay, I got Advocate 1.
Okay. And if at any time you want to pass on one of these skills, we can give it to the next person. Wes, Astrogation 1.
I'll take Astrogation 1.
Okay. Cody, Broker 1. If you already have Broker 1, it can go to the next person.
I don't have it, but I'll pass to see if there's something that more fits a noble such as me.
Okay. So Cameron, you want to take Broker 1?
Sure, I had broker 0, so that's good to have broker.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, I mean, we are theoretically going on a merchant ship, so
right. Yeah,
a broker would be really
broker
handy.
and diplomat skills are going to be highly valuable, or should be. Devin, Diplomat 1.
I have Diplomat 2 already.
Okay,
so
then that can be skipped. Glenn, would you like Diplomat 1?
That seems like a noble thing.
I'll take duplicate 1.
Okay.
I don't have that. That's better than -3.
Right. Wes, electronics 1.
Okay. I will take electronics. If I go all the way to 1, I'm going to take sensors.
Okay. Cody, medic 1.
Well, all that's left is what medic and streetwise looks like.
Medic, pilot, and streetwise.
I suppose I'll increase my medic skill a little bit since
Okay.
I am trained in it.
Okay. Cameron, pilot 1.
Yes, please.
And you have your choice. Do you want to take? I mean, I suppose you could take capital ships, but I doubt you'll have much use for it. So that kind of breaks it down between spacecraft and small craft.
Does anyone have pilot besides me?
Yeah, Wes
Yes,
does.
I'm kind of stacked
one-
in piloting skills. So I mean,
So-
whatever pick your poison. Your small craft will probably come in more handy, I'd think.
Okay, I'll do small craft.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Cool.
generally more opportunity for a small craft unless you're a main pilot role. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
That'll give you 0 in spacecraft, so you could be a backup main pilot. For any ship,
Right.
You could make it work.
So that leaves streetwise 1 for Devin.
Awesome. That'll be great.
All right.
It's not bad to have.
No, streetwise is a good one to have. So the next question I have is, Glenn, what is your highest ranked skill?
Diplomat and advocate. They're both 1.
Oh,
And
that's
I just
You're only
got
26 years old.
I'm like 26 years old. Everything else is 0.
Right. We'll come back to that. Wes, what's your highest skill?
The spacecraft, small craft at 3.
Okay.
But I mean, I've got
that definitely
2
puts you into the main pilot
space.
position. What is Cody? What's your highest ranked skill?
It is a tie between just administrative and science linguistics. Both of them are 2.
That's an interesting. Let's see here. My rankings. So science.
Whole crew is
and
stacked in diplomacy.
so science and admin.
Yes, science and admin are both ranked 2.
That's probably going to put you into you're fitting into a peculiar position. It technically is going to put you into like a department head type position, but not of flight operation. I guess it would be department head of operations. Because it's going to be, it's going to fall to you to deal with a lot of the trade issues that will come up, which we will discuss further. So that definitely makes you an officer. So you and Wes are officers. Cameron, what's your highest skill?
Vac suit.
Facts.
Hell yeah!
That clearly puts you as a team leader. Probably part of the engineering or operations team. So yeah, you're a team leader.
Really?
Yeah,
Man.
that would be the. I mean, not quite an officer, but I mean, there's only like 45 people aboard. I guess that would technically put you into a NCO kind of position. Devin, what is your highest skill?
Stealth. Yep.
Oh my. I would say that puts you into the category of expert personnel. What's your second highest skill?
Computers. Electronics computers.
Yeah, okay. That definitely could put you into operations or engineering. Probably as a department head for engineering. I'm going on a trade mission, but I'm going to be really sneaky about it. So, going back to Wes or back to Glenn. Man, probably going to place you in expert personnel. So you guys are on Narsil, and there's been I mean, Wes grew up here, and through one avenue or another, everybody has ended up. I think probably the most interesting one is both Cameron and Devin. Cameron, is Faye a sword worlder, or is she from the Third Imperium?
She doesn't really know because
Oh, that's right, because
got
she was in a low
born.
birth. She was in a low birth for so long, and she doesn't have any real memories. Right. Okay. And Devin wanted to know, or we were curious about Devin's homeworld. Probably. Quite a few around here.
That has a cool name.
Excalibur.
He from Excalibur.
Yeah, you could be. Sure, you can be from Excalibur.
And now you have to learn about it and integrate it into your person.
Well, okay, but that's not in the Imperium, is it?
Oh no, that's the Sword World area.
That's the Sword World.
I can't see much of this.
I can be from Excalibur. I need a homeworld. I don't have one.
Sure, you can be from Excalibur.
Could be from this bright red one. Lunyon?
Lunyon?
Yeah, Lunyon, the Lunyon sword shield worlds. Yeah, you could be from Lunyon.
That would be fun. All right.
The text is red. It's got to be
good.
It's
got to be good.
It's the capital of that subsector.
Oh, okay. Last time red was like danger zone. So, all right.
So this is interesting. I never thought about it until I just looked. They're not listing the Bowman arm as actually technically being in the Third Imperium. I thought they were. I didn't think they were an independent. I must be wrong. Either that or there's a typo on the map. But I always thought the Bowman arm and Walston and all of those were a part of the Third Imperium, but they may not be. They Sword World or the Spinward Marches, which is really what can be this campaign can be considered, is a peculiar place. Now, the name Behind the Claw, the reason why it's called that is because if you look at a larger map, which I don't have in front of me, there is a shape that the Great Rift forms, and it kind of forms what looks like a lobster claw, and that's going kind of the tip of the claw is kind of going coreward. And so that's when you hear the term behind the claw. In fact, there's an entire source book for it. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about what is essentially, for the most part, and most people glob them all together, the Spinward Marches, and being the what can arguably be considered the kind of the most important world in the Spinward Marches would, like I said, arguably would be Regina, and because of that rift, you can't just jump across the Great Rift. There's literally not. It's just pure blackness. There's no star systems. There's nowhere to jump to, and so there are some freighters that have that make the Rift run. They usually either have a really high jump rating, or the company that runs these vessels has set up fuel caches. And so what that means is that the normal people, when they are out traveling, they have to go around. So Regina is almost acts like a second capital for the system, or not for the system, for the marches in that region, and that really comes more into play much later in the timeline. But it is Regina is a very important world. Deneb is important as well. As far as playing a sword worlder, you guys have probably looked at, or some of you may have probably looked at the Sword World sourcebook. But this is actually a really good primer. I will just go ahead and show this to you guys. You don't have to read all of this. What this basically says is that sword worlders are like the ultimate. They're a lot of people think of that. Oh well, because they have a Scandinavian origin, that they must be space Vikings. That's not entirely true. In fact, most sword worlders would laugh at that idea. They are kind of the ultimate show me people. So if a person goes up to a sword worlder and tells them their rank, they don't care. I don't know you. Don't tell me what rank you are. Tell me what you've done in order to get to that rank. They want to see results. They want to know actions. And part of that is that it really plays into Skandersvik. And so while you guys are on Narsil, you have seen advertisements all over Narsil Starport and the Star Town that this individual Magnus Sundstrom is hiring crew for a ship called Skander, and they are labeling it as Skandersvik. Now, on ancient Terra, in a Vic means an expedition in old Norwegian. It was erroneously placed, in the word Vikings to apply to all Norwegians, Swedish, and Danish people. Anybody that would be hiring out for Skandersvik would really laugh hard if they were called a Viking. Even a sword worlder would find that hilarious. But in this case, it really does apply. Skandersvik, literally translated, means the expedition of Skander. And the only people, technically, in ancient Terra that were called Vikings, in reality, were only either raiders or on a trading expedition. And so this would literally apply to Skander. Now, all of you can roll a streetwise plus intellect check. Now, if you don't have the skill, that of course means a -3.
So it'd be intellect -3 for me because I don't have streetwise.
Correct. So it'd be 2d plus your intellect plus -3 to that.
I got 10.
9.
Jeez, I have to get some dice. I'm -2, by the way.
Okay.
I got 8.
So we got 3 people that got it.
Oh.
I have a +1 intellect. It's an 11.
Oh, you got an 11. Okay. Or no, you haven't rolled.
No, I haven't rolled yet. 2d -2.
Yep.
9 -2 is 7.
Oh, so close. So, and I'm still learning character names. So Holger, Faye, and Casey, kind of doing your streetwise around these advertisements and around the hiring halls of Narsil. You find out that there's a lot a lot of these crewmates, or a lot of people that would normally be signing up for this, um, are either not signing up and bailing on it, or there are some that have signed up and have already been accepted to be a part of the crew and then turn around and leave and quit the job beforehand. And the reason for this is that you guys hear that the ship Skander has a I don't want to say bad, an unlucky reputation. So evidently, the ship ran on some hard times, made some poor choices, and got pretty banged up. And word around the streets is that it was purchased for pennies on the credit by Magnus Sundstrom, and he paid personally out of pocket to have it refit. But because of this bad reputation that Skander's got, a lot of crews are just not even interested in being aboard it, or once they find out, they quit the job before the ship has even left port. Now, that's important because another fact of being a sword worlder is your reputation. And so a lot of times you'll sign up for a job like this, and you may not make a lot of money, but it is going to add to your reputation to the next jobs that you attempt to take. And so these guys that got hired on and then left before the ship even split port is really going to hurt them in the long run, because they're not going to be able to find crews that are worth anything for quite some time. They're going to have to work themselves out of a hole in order to get back in the good graces of other crews. The other thing about sword worlders, and I would say all of you except probably Faye and Casey would know this, is that sword world there is a legendary figure known as Grand Admiral Denisov, and he is a folk hero to all sword worlders. And again, you don't have to read this whole thing. I can summarize it, but essentially, Denisov, during the Imperial Civil War of 604, Denisov basically fought in several conflicts, and really he fought, to for the, if not the formation of the Sword Worlds Confederation, he fought directly for the Confederation, to the point where they were losing, and so was ordered to withdraw. And his fleet, he basically said no and ignored the orders, and his fleet continued to fight on. And for several years, they fought a rebel guerrilla kind of naval tactics against the Imperium, until finally the Imperium kind of tracked them down, and they tracked down Denisov's fleet, and I believe that was at Bowman, and they basically, the Imperials left and said, "We got him," and it's over. But there are some sources that suggest that maybe Denisov got away, or that not that he's still alive. Obviously, this happened in 604, and we're around the year 1105, so he's long dead, no matter what. But there is some speculation that maybe he escaped, or maybe the Imperial didn't get him, or whatever. And so he is kind of this folk hero to the Sword Worlder community. Now, the individual that is hiring for Skandersvik is named Magnus Sundstrom, and everybody would have seen him, not just in the ads, but he is frequently on current affairs shows on TV, on video screens, and he's frequently on news broadcasts. He's a well-known figure, and he basically is well known for being a highly successful merchant captain. and that he has done tons of trade missions all across the Sword World and beyond. And a lot of people, he's been asked on these current affairs shows after he brought up that he's going to go on this trade expedition, the Skandersvik, why he's doing that now, and um, and basically, his response to that is, it should be just enough for you to know that I'm doing it. You don't need to know any more than that. There has been rumor and speculation that perhaps he needs money, but that doesn't really make any sense because he out of pocket funded not only purchase of Skander, but he out of pocket paid for the complete refit of the ship. And Skander is not a small ship. It's 4,000? Yeah, 4,000 tons. So, you know, that couldn't have been cheap. So it doesn't sound like he really needs necessarily to. He's not hurting for money. So that those rumors are a little weird. But you learn this, and but you've already hired on. Now the deal that he offers for those signing on, essentially, and you can all add this right now. Let me get back here. You all get 2,500 credits, 2,500 immediately up front, and are promised another 2,500 credits upon safe return back to the port. In addition to that, and this will accrue throughout the mission, is that you will receive a monthly salary of 1,000 credits just for doing your job. And then at the end of the mission, once he gets back to port, 5% of the profits that Skander makes will be divided amongst all of the crew members, and an additional 5% will be assigned to the most worthy personnel in a manner that is decided by a vote of the crew.
Awesome. Okay.
And so, I mean, the money's not too bad, but you're also, I mean, a lot of you, at least for the Sword Worlders, is going to be an issue of this is a chance for gaining a really good reputation. If everything goes as planned, not only are you going to come back with flush pockets, but you'll have a reputation that will lead you through the various ordeals beyond, right? It's like it basically adds to your resume. And so pretty much everybody except for Glenn, or except for Zvart, the rest of you all made officers, and you are each met privately, and each of you are told. Well, the first thing that he says, you meet in a conference room at an Advantage Hotel, and he tells you a little bit about what's going on, what the planned route for Skander is. And the plan is that Skander will leave Narsil on a jump to transit to the worlds of the Cardons 3. And so if we look over here, where is Cardon? Jump to transit, Cardon. So it would be over here to Spume. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. Don't worry. Yeah, we will be purchasing gear now that you guys have a little bit more cash in your pocket. But he tells you that they're going to go over to the Cardons 3, and so the next destination, of course, will be Spume, by way of Spume and Condaria. So they're going to go Spume, Condaria, and then to Cardon to do some trading at Cardon, Dorania, and Baleria. And from there, he tells you that Spume and Kondaria are both relatively minor worlds. He does not expect any trouble in those systems. He says there are tensions in there, but it's nothing new. They are a part of the Darian Confederation, and the Darians are they are a recovering society. Daria used to be tech level 16, and they effed around and found out. They were doing some kind of experiment and caused their own star to go nova. And so now today on Daria, you can find relics that are tech level 16. Most of these relics don't work, but for the most part, they have kind of brought themselves back out and are on the same TL14, TL15 level with the Imperium, and they are allies of the Imperium. But because the Sword Worlds kind of sits in between them, there's not a whole lot of traffic. You do see sometimes rimward down, Ator. You might see some Imperial ships, but not as many as you would expect otherwise. And so he's not expecting any trouble unless the crew starts something, and he tells you, that's definitely something I do not want. We do not need to start trouble in Daria, especially, on worlds as unimportant as Spume and Kandaria. He says from there he plans to go to Carden, Doriana, and Baleria. He intends to undertake a more detailed analysis of local trade conditions and set up long-term deals, as well as trading whatever he already has. And that will be fairly considerable. After the Cardens 3, he plans to transit into the Bowman arm of the Spinward Main by way of Usella in the Five Sisters, heading trailing through District 268 into Lunian Shield Worlds, and eventually back to the Confederation space by Biter. He said trade will be conducted at his discretion along the way, with possible side trips to investigate opportunities or obtain useful information. And he freely admits that he's not just doing this for trading purposes. He is also going out to gather intelligence data of a military rather than a commercial sort. However, he fully intends the cruise to produce a profit overall and to implement deals that will permit follow-up cruises to carry goods to the end market. He then he also tells you that every crew member, and this will be iterated to all of the crew the following day during the crewing ceremony that will be held. He says he expects everybody while you are in port to be gathering as much intel as possible. Find out any piece of rumor or information that you can, especially about ships that are in port or that are passing through a system. There's anything that you can find out. You don't know if it's valuable until we have it in our hands and we can look at it and add it in with other things later. So he then allows the officers to pick a berth aboard Skander. This is the deck plans for Skander. It is a big ship. Somewhere on here is a key. Here we go. So one is staterooms. Pretty much you guys can. I'll put you guys on the map, and you can just drop a token where you want. It's not.
You have something showing?
Oh, I haven't moved you guys yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you should have deck plans to Skander showing up.
Nope.
None of you do?
I do.
I can see it.
Yeah, I see it just fine.
It took kind of a minute to like unpixelate for me. That's all.
Yeah,
but it happened.
It's a pretty big map.
It's biggie.
get a little bit bigger so we can actually see.
So what? Officers go in staterooms, I guess. Is that how that works? That'd be
I'm
like
going with-
Area 1.
So
Right, because
yeah,
like luxury staterooms, we rent those out,
yeah,
right?
luxury staterooms are generally going to be for passengers.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
So then
I'm
there.
gonna need one of those luxury rooms. I'm sorry.
That's very possible. You could technically demand that.
Soldani nobles thrive on having privacy.
Right?
Which deck are we supposed to be
Probably on
on?
I guess deck 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I should be
Yeah, we'd
near
be
the bridge because of my pilot ability. So even if it's more crowded, I'll probably be up in there.
That's true. There are staterooms over on deck 3, right behind the
Yeah.
bridge.
We'll be over here somewhere.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
And so the following day, they do have a ceremony where, in this one, we'll have Zart included, where all of the hired crewmates gather in the common area here. And essentially, it is a ceremony, a swearing-in ceremony. And it seems a little silly, but they basically pledge themselves to the ship, the crew, and the mission, pretty much in that order. And they swear to behave honorably throughout. And there's I think Casey would find this a little weird, but it's more than just a formality for the sword worlders, because beforehand they were just hired on to be hands on a ship, but the ceremony kind of gives everybody the feeling that now they're crew. And so he basically goes through the same information for the general crew that he gave to the officers, basically stating, everything except the fact that this is also a military intelligence gathering mission. And so he does tell everybody, though, to keep their eyes out and to gather as much information as possible. And hold on just a second.
Well, by Frigg's bouncy tits, I think we're gonna be fucking successful.
Yes. So he goes through
26 being 26-year-olds old, I have to say, what the hell do you mean?
Frigg, so his wife. He's got these big bouncy tits. Don't tell me you didn't look at that shit only in Temple. Now, come on. Don't be a Medusa's cunt about it.
And so, he leaves that part out, but he does tell every crew member that while in port, to keep your eyes and ears open to everything that you learn. So, with your, of course, before leaving, with your new cash in hand, of course, I know that Zuri Atoll has plenty of cash in hand. he came out quite well. And so you guys can go on a shopping spree. He does, of course, any weapons that are brought on board will be locked in the armory unless you are on security duty or going planet side, and then assuming that but you're on a world that's law level will allow it. The armory is here at 22. And I would assume that... Is there an armory on each deck? No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like the armory's on deck 3. Right behind the bridge. So, yeah. So right there. 22 is the armory. And so weapons will be stowed, like I said, unless you are on guard duty or going planet side. And he he does tell the officers, and probably, I would imagine that Svart is close by. Hold on here, let me fix this real quick. There we go. That's better. Svart would be close by, and he would kind of overhear this. That if you guys want to engage in some trade, that say something. If bring it up to him, and he can make a decision at that point. The Skander is leaving port with 400 tons of common raw materials, things like high purity ingots of iron, copper, nickel, maybe some chemicals, as well as mid-tech industrial processes. He intends to sell these as samples to worlds that might be otherwise doing it locally, and he intends to give them as samples or sell them as samples to these worlds, suggesting that they might be better off purchasing from the sword worlds and getting a higher quality ore rather than just doing it locally. He will have 100 tons of common electronics. Mostly it's going to be communications equipment for like small businesses, remote farmsteads, and small communities. Self-contained, simple to use items. Generally, they're going to be general purpose computer systems. He will have 400 tons of common industrial goods, light machinery, fabrication equipment, and spares. He plans to sell across the trip. He will have common manufactured goods to the tune of 400 tons that will include hard, work clothes, formal dress clothes, mass-produced, but higher standard than most medtech worlds can manage. Protective clothing like gloves and advanced materials that harden under impact, things like that. And he will be carrying 100 tons of medical supplies, 100 tons of luxury goods, ranging from decorative items to luxury ground cars. There will be 30 tons of assorted goods in converted shipping containers. And of course, this is specifically for the officers, but again, Svart might overhear that Skander has strong rooms that contain large quantities of hard currency cash and precious metals. And so some of these will be used in trade, though most transactions will be electronic. And Magnus Sundström expects to have a use for the cash for most of his dealings, but he says it might still be used to possibly develop informants and gain intelligence along the way. So, now that you have cash in hand, you can go on a shopping trip. We will be, of course, looking in Central Supply Catalog Update 2023, and possibly, let's see here. Yeah, possibly you could, on page 159 of the Sword Worlds book is a Sword Worlds Central Supply Catalog. Now, you will note Sword Worlders really like their revolvers a lot.
Oh, then I should probably change my.
I've already got a Stoli.
Yeah, the Stoli is a good pistol, but they also really like semi-automatic weapons, and you'll notice like a lot of these are all semi-automatic, and the reason for that is very similar to the after World War II and going into the Korean War. The United States had a similar problem. They didn't want to adopt assault weapons or machine guns because they had this weird notion that the world respected the United States because of our abilities as riflemen. And that's great, but respect doesn't go very far when the other guy's slinging 4 times the amount of lead at you. So, by the Vietnam War, of course, that all changed, of course. But you'll know the sword worlders have the same attitude that our people are excellent shots, so we don't need to spray and pray.
Oh, so which book is this you're talking about?
Sword Worlds source book.
We can buy armor, I guess.
You can, but it's probably going to be limited. What kind? I guess in that case, ask and we'll see.
What
I
I've
just
been able-
want to buy a light polycarapace TL12.
Probably not.
Okay. What about polycarapace TL10?
Probably no polycarp.
Oh.
What you might be able to purchase.
I like the look of the protect suit.
would I have been able to buy any Zodani stuff before I left Zodani?
I would say so. Yeah, if you want to look through the central supply for
Here's
Jadani
this
and
right here.
Aliens of Charted Space Volume 1, you certainly can.
I was gonna. Okay.
I'm
What about
I'm looking at
black?
cloth armor TL10.
Cloth armor, pretty much anything cloth you could buy. I would say looking at the basic armor types, probably up to. Hold on here, I probably have this. Yes, I do. Standard armor chart. This is all of the standard armors, probably up to flak shell. Well, no, you could buy up to Jack.
Aw. So can I purchase a protect suit or no?
Protects. Look at what they say about
It looks nice. It's only
I'm gonna
plus
take-
4.
Yeah.
Oh, the business suit. Yeah, you could buy a protect suit.
I would like that. It looks the nicest out of all the armors that are available.
Yeah, I would allow that. Yeah, it basically looks like a
Oh.
business suit.
I'm gonna take that TL10 cloth then for 500 credits.
Okay.
I mean, it's plus 8. That's not too shabby.
That's what I got.
All right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't have any rad protection.
Yeah,
True.
that's true.
I don't know.
Nobody
None
get
of them
irradiated.
None of these things have rad protection.
Well, vac suits do. And I mean, of course, it's always a good idea to, if you've got the money, purchase your own vac suit. But yes, Skander will have some standard vac suits available should they be necessary. But they're of course not going to be fitted to you, and you're putting your life in the hands of somebody else who made the purchase.
Yeah, but I don't think I can afford a vac suit. How much is a vac suit?
Hold on.
12,000.
Are they that spendy?
No, I can do a vac suit improved for 10,000.
Yeah, vac suits can tend to be a little spendy. Is that under?
Wait, does the ship not provide us with a vac suit?
They have vac suits available, yes, but
Okay.
it's always better if you have your own. But like I said, there are some vac suits available on the ship.
On my body, I mean my on my cloth armor, can we get stuff added to it, like specifically a TL10 body camera?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think I bought a really good vac suit.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, like I said, a good vac suit is not.
Mine costs 95,000 credits. So
Wow. That's a spendy vac suit.
well, it's a vac suit and combat armor combined.
Oh, well, now wait a minute. So
It's
let's see, you would be able to buy civilian suits, but probably not something that's going to be combat armor.
okay. I will delete it.
So,
I'll get a basic vac suit.
Yeah, basic vac suits,
Yeah.
12K.
Wow.
But it takes vac suit 1, and I don't have that. So I went with improved. It's
Yeah.
actually cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost wonder if they don't have that flipped wrong. In fact, I think it is. I think basic's supposed to be 10,000 and improved's supposed to be 12,000. Here's civilians.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
Cloth armor.
basically for this, it's pretty much going to be up to tech level 10, since Narsil is in Sword World.
Level 10, you said, is the highest we can go?
Yeah, tech level 10. So
Alrighty.
improved vac suit for 12,000, or let's see here, a pressure sleeve. No, that. Whenever
I'll go for a HEV suit tech level 10 that requires vac suit 0 for 22,000. Oh, no, that's tech suit 11. Never mind.
Yeah, they've got there's an HEV suit improved +9 protection level tech level 10, and protects the next 90 rad for 20K.
But it needs vac suit 1. I don't have that.
Right.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I do actually. I lied.
Okay, there you go. Should also be noted that the HEV suits make for great civilian combat armor. I mean, that +9 protection is pretty good. And I mean, when you start getting up into the, like tech level 14 where it's doing +15, the only time that you're going to get a whole lot higher than that is when you start looking at battle dress. They're pretty impressive. So aside
Damn, I want an auto chef. Do I have room for that though? That's big. Never mind.
I don't know. What's it say?
Mm.
Yeah, that is a little large. Let's see. A fully automated voice-activated robot food preparation system. Only tech level 9. Well, you can get tech level 10. Plus better meals. Yeah, I mean, if you want to buy an auto chef, you can have an auto chef. I don't know if there would be room in your stateroom for it. You might have to put it in the common area and basically allow everybody to use it.
Well, I don't want it then.
Then it's not special.
I'm gonna get a clothing consultant though. It's only 800 credits, so
Okay.
that should be fun.
Yeah, the holographic mirror.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, consultant? You look like shit. just a flat margin. What the fuck did you do with your hair? So the looking at the auto laundry, if you've read through the Starship Operator's Manual, Starship Operations Manual, so on most of like the smaller ships, like a free trader or a far trader or a scout, the automatic dishwasher doubles to do laundry, which sounded a little weird the first time I saw it. Come to find out, that's a thing right now. Like over in Japan, most of those small apartments over there, that's what they do. They have multi units. Your dishwasher actually doubles as a laundry, and you just select the mode. And like that, On the one hand, that sounds kind of gross, but on the other hand, I mean, it's soap, right? I mean, if it's doing its job,
Yeah.
if it's working properly, then I imagine there's nothing really gross about it.
That's just what I want. I want food particles in my clothes.
Right? Yes.
Little tiny ground up food particles that
Yeah,
didn't quite go through.
didn't quite get out of the wash. Yeah.
Well, I buy a TL12 personal computer.
Take a look at it.
Do we need comms dots?
Com dots would be a good idea. Mobile comms would be a good idea. Hmm.
I'm not trying to be a hacker or anything with it. It's basically I am going to try to video document my journey and all that in hopes of creating an adventure series, like a documentary type thing of the adventure.
Mm,
So I'm wanting to buy a computer to
yeah, I would allow you to buy a tech level 12 personal computer. I mean, that's higher than the average tech level 10. But
I
there
could
are
take a tech. Yeah,
imports.
I could do a tech level 10. That suits my thing. That's 500 credits.
Yeah,
That's fine.
and it
That
lowers your
does my
bandwidth
needs.
from 3 to 2. But
I'm not trying to be a hacker. I'm not trying to run a bunch of shit on it. I'm trying to I'm trying to be able to have a device to do. I got my body cam on my thing. I'm going to buy some cameras, and and that's kind of what I'm wanting.
so
I
Scander,
bought a mobile com.
excellent. Yeah, you
Me too.
guys might want to buy a mobile com and maybe a com dot.
I got a mobile com and some stuff that doesn't really matter.
So somebody
See.
else brought this up, and I was like, that's really true. I've watched the show Burn Notice. I know. Com dots in a pinch make excellent bugging devices.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the other thing to consider, yes, Skander number 23 here is a med bay. Skander does have a med facility aboard, but you might want to pick up a med kit and give it to the person with the highest medical skill.
Well, right now I have 0 in it, but I'll pick one up.
I think somebody grabbed medic 2, didn't they?
Cody.
Yeah, Cody, maybe.
I have medic 1 right now.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you could get an
I'm keeping-
improved first, or excuse me, a first improved medic kit, which gives a +1 to medic checks for 1,500 credits.
Where's that
I got myself one.
It is on page 90 of the Central Supply Catalog.
So we're supposed to get
Yeah,
a mobile com, something we should buy, you said?
Yeah, you probably want to
Yeah.
get a mobile com, possibly a com dot.
An advanced mobile com TL10
Yes.
is okay.
Yes.
All right.
So you guys stop by the T-Mobile store on Narsol, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I've got the air raft that I'm going to want to ask to bring.
Yep.
It's going to take up, I think, 4 tons of cargo space. But
yeah, your shipping should be, I believe, about 4 tons. They're not.
yeah,
They're not overly large.
right. And then I have my personal computer, my advanced mobile comm, and I'd like to purchase a camera suite of some sort. I just have to look it up.
Yeah.
But it'll be somewhere around TL10.
Okay.
So I saw something somewhere where it was like an assortment of cameras and shit.
It's probably under electronics.
Yeah.
I got a first aid kit and a basic med kit.
Excellent.
Oh, what's this?
A wristwatch
What's a ring laser?
or a ring laser.
Oh, that's TL16 though.
That's still, yeah, there's no way I could get that. It just looked cool. I have a gun from one of my terms, so I don't need to buy a gun.
Okay.
I bought a personal safe and a disguise kit, which is pretty much just makeup. So
You gotta have makeup.
You know.
Faye sure does, yeah.
Yeah. Faye
Okay,
Valentine
here
doesn't
we
even
go.
get out of bed without putting on makeup.
Do we need to do anything like atmospheric protection or environmental masks?
I mean, it's not an awful idea, but that's entirely up to you.
I'm thinking if we landed
I
on
bought a
planet
rescue bubble last game, and I literally never used it.
Right.
Like it didn't
Yeah.
come up. It wasn't that
Yeah.
useful. So
Well, yeah, I'm
just
thinking
throwing
is
that out there.
if we're going to a planet to trade, it would seem to me the ship would be able to provide the oxygen masks or breather masks.
Yes,
or
they
iron.
will they will have that stuff available for you.
I mean, you wouldn't go to trade
That's
on a
true.
planet you couldn't get off of to talk to the people.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna get a camera full motion holographic TL10 off the electronics things.
Okay.
That's something I'll take with me a lot and take pictures. Yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
Can you look at my stuff and see what else I should buy?
Yeah, give me just a second here.
I've only spent like 30,000 credits.
Only. So here is Holger's air raft. Let's see.
And I buy a survival kit.
That's not a
Just
that's
for-
not a terrible idea. I mean, you never know. All right. So
They're not overly
right.
expensive.
Yeah. I don't know what else I could need. I got a pistol to shoot, a little hand axe to chop with, some cloth armor, a personal computer, a camera, and I also have a body cam that I wear on my cloth armor. So
oh, and you got a thruster pack for that HEV. Nice.
Yes.
And you got a med kit. Yeah, I think you are good to go. I mean, you're on a trade expedition, so I mean, theoretically, there's going to be other places to shop at. The only time you would be barred from shopping would be during the week in jump in between. So, is there anything else that you guys can think of that you want to purchase for your characters before leaving?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay.
I would
yeah,
purchase a robot, but I don't feel like dealing with a second character sheet.
Right. I was actually trying. I tried hard trying to get one of these guys to play an actual robot character because I think that would be just a gas, to play a robot like the droid from Rogue One, you know.
If I die, I'll make a robot. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun, but that's just me. I'm weird that way.
That would be.
No,
Whoever
was gonna
dies
tell-
makes a robot. That'll be the rule.
I was gonna buy a light warbot, but I didn't feel like dealing with all of it, and so I just won't.
So this is what Skander looks like from the outside.
We've had good success.
And I have. So to let you know, this is the stats for Skander. 4,010. Close structure. So close structure vessels are going to be a little bit difficult to land. So no pressure, Wes.
It'll be okay. Can't
Okay.
wreck it bad but once.
See, what does it say? It says hull configuration, structure, first standard, streamlined. Well, okay, then I'll just look at. Hi, you're not going to tell me.
Is it safe to assume that my remaining cash on hand is like not able to be stolen by anybody?
Oh, I mean, eh, if you're carrying it around as hard currency, I mean, of course, there's a possibility that you could get pickpocketed, but probably pretty unlikely. It's probably pretty safe.
Like, is it safe to assume I have like a Galaxy debit card or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's safe to assume that. So close structure boxes joined by sturdy struts or with multiple projecting elements, and it says that is partially streamlined, which I believe is a -1.
Yeah.
A -1 to when landing.
Do we have like a chart for like servants or anything like that to like buy?
Like bots or
Bots or living things?
no.
Like,
I mean, there is of course all of that available in the robot handbook. Just out of curiosity, something like a steward bot, a steward droid. No, that's the example. I don't want the example. I want the actual bot. Steward droid. Looks like it'll run about 800. No, that can't be right.
yes, I saw that.
Yeah, let's see. Service robots. there's a flying autodoc called Angel of Mercy, which immediately makes me not want to ever get helped by that bot. I'm like, what's it going to inject me with, and am I going to wake up? But yeah, there are some. I mean, there's a bartender bot. There's beauty bots, broker bots. There's crew droids. There's all sorts of stuff.
I'll just I don't know. At our first stop, I'll just hire somebody to be my little chauffeur butler.
Or
for a
perhaps
while.
you could get one of the other crew to start doing it, because you guys, you will be spending a week in jump. So, speaking of which, here I go, losing names again. Holger, make an astrogation check.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Load up skills. Astrogation. Ten.
Excellent. So that is a +1. Who wants to make a? Actually, let me double check. You may not even need to do that. Do you need to make what's the power?
by Odin's Vading member, we're going to get this all figured out. Yeah.
24. Yeah, who
I've
wants
got
to make
tons
a
of them.
who wants to make an engineering power plus intellect check?
I'll do
Oh,
that.
that's Casey. Casey Stone.
That's 11.
Excellent.
Hey.
And last but not least, who wants to make the engineering J drive? And you get a +1 to that total.
Does anybody else have engineering?
Not me.
Here we go
I've got
again.
engineering 0, but I mean, I'm already doing the astrogation and the piloting.
Well, and you
Go
get
ahead
a
and
you get a
just-
+1 off the top of that. So
yeah, get your
Okay.
wrench on.
All right, I'll do it.
Well,
It did go well. I got a 14.
Excellent. All right, and so you guys have jumped Skander into jump space, and you are now en route for Spoon.
sweet.
Spoon.
I like Spoon.
Spoon. And so that's where we'll pick up next week. Now that we have characters and the mission is officially underway, we will pick up with probably we'll be picking up with you getting to know some of your fellow crewmates in the week of jump and deciding what will transpire once you get to Spoon.
Do we get to? Oh, go ahead. You're
Uh,
about to tell us what I was going to.
Probably, yeah. I was going to say if you want to do any studying that week, you can start your first week of study period on whatever skill you decide. And once you get 8 of those, that is a total study period.
We
Do we
need
need
somebody
8?
to learn how to shoot a turret, probably at some
I have
point.
Gunner at 0 if that's what you.
Oh, hell yeah! Well, I mean, we need a comms and a sensor person. You know, someone needs to be
True.
working on that, and I mean, Devin is obviously gonna be responsible for all our engineering needs. It looks like.
Again.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Do what you know.
Yep.
I'm
Is
just
it
saying, while
8
everybody's looking at studying, we need to make sure that we.
8 weeks is one study period. So if you're trying to get a new skill at 0, or if you're taking a skill from 0 to level 1, you need one full study period of 8 weeks before you get to make your education check. If you're going from 1 to 2, then it takes 2 study periods, becomes 16 weeks. And that's 2 education checks. So you don't have to worry about losing out on everything because you'll get multiple checks. And from 2 to 3, it's 3 study periods of 24 weeks, etc.
Okay.
All right. And this is 2 weeks that
Mhm.
we're in jump, right?
1 week.
1 week. Oh, okay. I wrote down 2, so let me get written one on.
I'm going to start studying my ability to persuade people.
Okay.
I'm
a terrible
studying
idea.
deception.
Excellent. We're
What's
already
that?
getting off to
Do
a good
carouse.
carouse, deception, and persuade. This is going to definitely be a good trade cruise.
I've already got carouse and admin and advocate.
Okay.
You could
So-
work out. You could do athletics.
Yeah,
while
you could
you're
work out.
waiting around.
I could try to go from electronics 0 to 1.
We need somebody on sensors.
I think
I mean,
have
I've got the
electronics
sensor
0.
skill. Yeah.
Okay.
I go for comm. I could go for comm then.
Yeah, that's not a terrible
That's
idea.
We'll need to be able to make a spacecraft work at some point in time. Is
Yes.
just all I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
you want to probably get the most out of you. So yeah, you're going to want to get the most out of any skills you can gain from your time aboard Skander, because in the future, you will have theoretically have your own ship, and you want to be able to operate it. So this can both be the training that you would get from your first real job out on your own, as opposed to the career packages or what have you.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Well,
that was fun. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
okay.
thanks, Chris.
We will get this
Chris.
campaign fully underway next week.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks.
Bye,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye. I'll see y'all later.
Have a good night, guys. Did you have a
Yeah,
question,
I'm still
Glenn?
trying to figure all this out.
Oh yeah.
No, I was gonna concerned how long does it take to train from 0 to 1, and you answered.
Oh, okay. Okay. Excellent. So yeah, don't worry about picking up too much of it. It will come to you as you play. You'll pick up more and more of it, and the same goes with the lore, because there's the charted space of Traveler is so massive. When I first got into it, I tried to learn it all at once, and it was such a huge information dump that I pretty much went cross-eyed and didn't pick up the books again for like 6 months because I was just overwhelmed. The key to it is, from a referee standpoint, is looking at one small section at a time and not doing a lore dump on your players, because there's just so many intricacies, is that they pick the information up over time as they play.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, like, because like there's psionics and then there's Zodani. Psionics are different than psionics.
They're not different. The Zodani, they have the Zodani talent. It is a new talent, the same as, like telepathy, telekinesis, awareness.
Right.
So it just is an additional talent that only Zodani can have, because they're essentially the masters of psionics.
Yeah, like do I know all the Zodani stuff? I assume, because it doesn't say that.
Yes. So the way that the psionics work is you don't have to train each one of those sub skills. So and I don't have the Zodani book open, but I can look here. So for instance, just in the core rule book, if you look at, okay, how did I? Oh.
Yeah, I've got them both open right now on my
So
monitor.
if you look at say clairvoyance, clairvoyance is the skill, and usually
Okay.
you're going, when you make a clairvoyance check, it would be the clairvoyance skill that you have plus whatever your modifier for your size score is. And that applies to anything that you do. So you could do sense, you could do tactical awareness, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. The only difference is with each of those sub skills is how much the psionic, what is the psi cost, and how long it takes, and what the check needs to be. So like tactical awareness, you need to make a clairvoyance plus psi check and meet 8 or better. And it'll take 1d6 seconds to take effect. But you get all of those.
Okay. Then I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do on the ship. Like, I have electronics computer. I assume that can do something.
Definitely. Definitely. And that
like
will definitely come into play. So like I said, Magnus Sundstrom wants you guys to pick up information throughout the voyage, right? He wants you to gather intelligence about anything any ships in the area, any ships that are in port, etc. So let's say there's always public records that are available. Parsing through public records is just an admin plus intellect check. But let's say that all of these records always have some kind of note attached to them by inspectors, by ground crew, things like that. So let's say that you want to get into those private notes. So, Cameron just said that her character, Faye, is learning deception. So she might, use deception to draw the clerk's eyes away, and while you go over and use electronics, computers, plus intellect in order to parse through the private records or the private notes that are written down about a particular ship. So that's one example. But it's a high-tech sci-fi game, so the uses for electronics computers is almost endless.
Yeah. And yeah, like does this ship like the weapons? Like, would I be able to say what kind of like its defensive turrets? Like, what are they like? Slug weapons, energy weapons?
No, they are. Let me bring it back up. They are. So it has two small missile bays, four particle barbettes, 20 dual turret pulse lasers, and 12 triple turrets that each have 2 beam lasers and a sandcaster in them. So it has 288 missiles in storage and 240 sand canisters. It doesn't. Oh, it does say that it's got software. So some of these turrets can be operated by Virtual Crew 0. It does not have fire control software, which that means there's no bonus to any of the gunner turret checks, and the turrets cannot fire on their own because it doesn't have that. But let me. I thought that Virtual Crew did something too.
Would like heavy weapons or energy one for gun combat be helpful in any of that or no?
So no, not for turrets. For ship-based weapons, you want gunner turret.
Okay.
Which would be what you would need for these weapons. Yeah, computers.
I'm just a snarky noble. I don't mess with big guns and stuff.
Right.
I use my tongue to do everything.
Right. Yes, you talk your way out of everything.
I mean, I've almost got 100,000 credits in my to my name, so I will definitely be doing what I can to grease the wheels, as it were.
Right. Yeah, Virtual Crew. Which book is that in? There.
Yeah, because I was definitely gonna spend most of my money on that Zodani officer combat armor.
Right.
And just walk around that because it's like, okay, well, it's a vac suit and it gives me 18 protection, so I think I'll be okay for a while.
Interesting. Here we go.
Yeah, it took me a while to.
So it says Virtual Crew. While ships are vastly complicated to run, requiring highly trained crews, relatively simple operations can be performed by this software package. Can replace up to 5 pilots, gunners, or sensor operators on board a ship, potentially allowing the ship to act autonomously if all crew can be replaced in this way. Indeed, ships can be designed without a bridge, relying purely on this software package in order to function as a drone. So Virtual Crew 0 takes 5 bandwidth, is TL10, and can operate 5 turrets. So that's
Okay.
pretty cool. But it doesn't give you any kind of bonus if you're shooting. So
Yeah, I was trying to stick with like, what would a noble be able to do?
on a trade mission, a noble can be able to do everything pertinent because I mean, there's deals to be made. Broker is a great skill to have. Deals to be made, palms to grease, people to talk into things. I mean, they should be nearly endless.
I can't pilot the ship, but once we land at a spaceport, I'll be fine.
Right. At ports, you will be in your element. Yeah.
I just feel bad because they're gonna be like, "Who's gonna run guns or whatever for a pilot?" I'm just like,
well,
not me.
Right, but that's yeah. Your character is going to be in a completely different, a different wheelhouse entirely. So
now, are we able to hire like peons essentially? That's like, okay, well, we need some more gunners. Can we just like hire people who have some gunnery skill?
Possibly. It really depends on the size of a ship or whatnot. I mean, Skander probably has a crew of maybe 50, maybe 60 people, and so I mean she's going to be all crewed up. But in the future, if you have a big enough ship and you have some positions that need to be filled, one of a couple of things can happen. You can either use software operations, you can possibly hire crew that can work with you. Another option is if you have skills that are missing, somebody can go under the knife and get something like a wafer jack and or a neurojack and slot the skill. So in that case, you can have a skill up to the level of whatever chips bandwidth, or it's one level, one minus the bandwidth. So if you slot a level 3, say gunner turret, then you would automatically get gunner turret at rank 2, and that would apply. So things like that.
So for the ranks on the scanner, so obviously the captain is the guy who owns the ship and he's on the ship.
Actually, he
Like-
is listed as the owner on board. There is a captain, there is a first officer, which we'll get into meeting the crew next week. But and there are, like I said, 50 or 60 other individuals that are placed in positions across the ship.
But all of us are officers? of some
Everybody
sort?
except for Glenn's character are officers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are basically department heads, and like so like for instance Wes's character is department head of the piloting, and then there is
What am I, like? You said like logistics or
yeah, you
something?
are let's see. My rank. Yeah, you were slightly different. You were, I want to say, like expert or
Yeah, say
team leader or
how
something
would,
like that.
so
Oh, no,
I'm
you'd be
lower than
department
officer?
head of operations.
Oh, okay. So how does he react to having a noble person on board and a Zadari on board? Does like the
Magnus,
owner
he
of
doesn't.
board?
It doesn't phase him in the least.
Okay.
I mean, he is your archetypical sword wielder. He's going to want to see what your actions are across the cruise before he makes any kind of judgment on you.
Okay.
So
I will try to figure out what I can for next session.
sure, I mean, I promise this will all make a lot more sense after a couple of sessions. It'll be old hat. All right. Well, I will see you next week.
All right. See you next week.
Yep. Have a